There's a moment in every technology cycle where the tools stop being impressive and start being indispensable, where the gap between the businesses using them properly and the businesses watching from the sidelines stops being a talking point and starts showing up in the numbers. We are in that moment right now. And this week, OpenAI made it significantly more urgent. GPT-5.5 dropped a few days ago. Before you switch off because you think this is a technology conversation, it isn't. It is a business conversation. It is a conversation about competitive advantage, about talent, about how decisions get made, and how fast your organization can move. The technology is just the context. Welcome to AI for the Boardroom. I'm your host, RFD. If you are new here, go to aifortheboardroom.com right now. Every episode, every resource, every framework we produce for business leaders lives there. Free, built for you. Go bookmark it and come back. Today, we are going to cover exactly what GPT-5.5 is, what it does that previous versions could not, what that means for specific functions inside your business, and what the leaders who get this right are doing differently from the ones who don't. No jargon, no hype, just the facts and what they mean for the decisions you need to make. Let's start at the beginning. OpenAI is the company behind ChatGPT. You know the name. Most of your team knows the name. But here is something most business leaders do not fully appreciate. The product your team has access to today is fundamentally different from the ChatGPT that launched in late 2022. Not incrementally different, fundamentally different. The naming has changed, the capability has changed, and the pace at which it is changing has accelerated to a point that most organizations are not keeping up with. Here's the quick history, because it matters. OpenAI launched GPT-5 in August 2025, then GPT-5.2 in December 2025, then GPT-5.3 in early March 2026, then GPT-5.4 on the 5th of March 2026, and now GPT-5.5 released this week. 5 meaningful model upgrades in under a year. That is the pace. That is the rhythm your business is operating inside, whether you're paying attention to it or not. And each of those upgrades is not a minor tweak. Each one has moved the capability of what this technology can do for a professional in a meaningful and measurable direction. So what is GPT 5.5 and what has actually changed? 3 things. I'm going to take each one seriously because each one has a direct and specific implication for how your business operates. The first is professional knowledge work. OpenAI tested GPT 5.5 on something called GDP-val. This is not a made-up internal benchmark designed to make the product look good. It is an independent test that measures AI performance on real work products spanning 44 occupations across the top 9 industries contributing to United States GDP. Not abstract reasoning puzzles, actual deliverables, sales presentations, accounting spreadsheets, legal analysis, manufacturing diagrams, urgent care scheduling, the kind of work your teams produce every single week. GPT 5.5 scored 84.9% on that benchmark, matching or exceeding professional human performance. To put that number in context, GPT 5.2, the version from December last year, scored 70.9% on the same test. GPT 5.4, released just 8 weeks ago, scored 83%. GPT 5.5 is at 84.9. In the space of a few months, this technology moved from impressive but inconsistent to genuinely competitive with your professional workforce on structured knowledge tasks. That is not a gradual improvement. That is a step change. And it has happened quietly, without a single board in most organizations having a conversation about what it means for how they deploy their people. The second thing that changed is about operating computers autonomously. GPT 5.5 scored 78.7% on something called OS World Verified. This benchmark does not test whether an AI can answer questions about computers. It tests whether an AI can actually operate a real computer environment on its own. Open applications, navigate software interfaces, complete multi-step tasks across different programs without a human directing each step. 78.7% on its own across real software environments. Now think about what that means in practice. The workflows your teams run every day, across Excel, across your CRM, across your email, across your reporting systems, are the exact environments this technology is designed to operate in. An agent running GPT-5.5 does not just answer questions about your data, it navigates the systems your data lives in and does work inside them. That is not a chatbot, that is something categorically different. The third change is about speed. There is a pattern in technology where more capable means slower. Bigger models take longer to respond. And for any business thinking about embedding AI into live operational workflows, speed is not just a convenience. It is a commercial requirement. A compliance agent that takes 45 seconds to respond to a query is not the same as one that responds in 4 seconds. GPT 5.5 breaks that pattern. OpenAI confirmed it matches the per-token response speed of GPT 5.4 while performing at a significantly higher level of intelligence. More capable, no slower. That removes one of the genuine barriers to operational deployment. Now let's talk about what this means for specific functions inside your business, because that is where this conversation needs to go. Your finance function first. Because the change here is the most concrete and the most immediately actionable. ChatGPT is now embedded inside Microsoft Excel. That is not a future feature. It launched in beta in March this year, currently available across the United States, Canada, and Australia, with broader rollout continuing. If your business runs on Microsoft 365, and most businesses do, your finance team already has access to a version of this today. OpenAI tested GPT 5.4 on an internal benchmark of spreadsheet modeling tasks that a junior investment banking analyst would typically perform. GPT 5.4 scored 87.3%. Its predecessor scored 68.4%. That is a 19 percentage point jump in spreadsheet accuracy in a single model generation. GPT 5.5 improves further on that foundation. What does that mean in practice for your finance team? The structured, rules-based layer of financial work, building models, updating forecasts, reconciling figures, running variance analysis, is now something this technology handles with professional-grade accuracy inside the software your team already uses. Your finance director stops being a spreadsheet operator and becomes an analyst. Their judgment, their experience, their strategic thinking, that is what they are paid for, not the mechanics of populating a model. The time your finance function currently spends on the mechanical layer of financial reporting is a direct and measurable opportunity, and it is available to act on today. Your legal and compliance function next. Because in any regulated business, and if you are listening to this show, you are almost certainly running one, compliance is a constant, grinding, high-stakes burden. Regulatory monitoring, policy gap analysis, contract review, audit preparation. These are high-volume, structured, document-heavy workflows. They are almost perfectly designed for AI agents running on a model that just scored near-perfect accuracy on customer service workflow complexity and 84.9% on professional knowledge work across legal and business occupations. An agent running GPT 5.5 that monitors your regulatory environment around the clock, cross-references changes against your operational position, flags gaps, and delivers a prioritized brief to your compliance lead every morning. That is not science fiction. That is a workflow design decision. And the businesses making that decision now are building a compliance capability that their competitors are not. Your operations function, demand forecasting, supplier risk monitoring, capacity planning, exception reporting. These are recurring, data-driven, multi-step workflows that most operations teams run manually, pulling information from multiple systems, synthesizing it, and producing outputs that inform decisions. Every one of those workflows is a candidate for agent automation on GPT 5.5 today. Not perfectly, not without human oversight and judgment on the outputs, but well enough to give your operations director their analytical time back and let them focus on the decisions rather than the data gathering. Your sales function. OpenAI published a case study this week from Rippling, a workforce management company. Their sales team deployed a Workspace Agent, one of the new agent capabilities that rolled out alongside GPT 5.5, to research prospect accounts, summarize sales calls, and post deal briefs automatically into their team's Slack channel. On every deal, without human input on each step. The work that previously took their sales representatives 5 to 6 hours a week now runs in the background automatically. 5 to 6 hours, per person, per week. Recovered and redirected to selling. That is one workflow. In one team, in one company. The same logic applies across every sales function that currently has its best people doing research and documentation instead of building relationships and closing business. And your senior leadership team. Because this is the piece that most AI conversations skip entirely, and it is the one I think matters most. The information that reaches a CEO or a board is filtered, delayed, and shaped by the layers it travels through before it arrives. By the time a report lands on the board table, the data underpinning it might be weeks old. The analysis might reflect the priorities of whoever compiled it. The recommendations might be softened because nobody wants to bring bad news upward. An agent team running on GPT-5.5 changes that entirely. A CEO with properly configured agents gets raw, synthesized intelligence every morning. Competitive movements, market signals, internal performance data, regulatory developments, customer sentiment shifts, all pulled together, all prioritized, all ready before the first meeting of the day. Not filtered through 5 layers of management, not delayed by reporting cycles, direct, fast, accurate. A leadership team operating on that quality of information makes better decisions, faster decisions, with more confidence and less exposure to the gap between what is happening and what they are being told is happening. Now, I want to address something directly, because every time I cover a capability update like this, there is a version of the response from business leaders that I think is genuinely dangerous. It goes like this. This is impressive. We are keeping an eye on it. We will move when the time is right. I understand that instinct. It feels measured. It feels like good governance. But in this specific technology environment, it is an expensive position to hold. Here's why. The NBER published research earlier this year covering 6,000 executives across 4 countries. Nearly 90% reported no measurable impact from AI on productivity or employment in their business. But when researchers looked at how much those executives were actually using AI, the answer was 1.5 hours per week, 90 minutes, 3% of a leadership week. And those organizations wondered why they were not seeing results. The technology does not reward observation. It rewards commitment, structured, deliberate, operationally embedded commitment. The organizations seeing genuine productivity gains are not the ones with the most impressive AI strategy documents. They are the ones with agents running on live workflows, humans reviewing outputs and applying judgment, and leadership that has made organizational capability building a genuine priority rather than a standing agenda item. Manpower Group surveyed nearly 14,000 workers across 19 countries last year. They found that regular AI use increased 13% in 2025, but confidence in the technology dropped 18% in the same period. Workers are using it more and trusting it less. That is the direct result of unmanaged, unstructured adoption. Tools handed to individuals without frameworks for how to use them, what to trust, and where human judgment still has to lead. Boston Consulting Group found the same pattern from a different angle. In a survey of nearly 1,500 workers, they found that people using 3 or fewer AI tools reported genuine productivity gains. People using 4 or more reported that productivity fell. Brain fog, more errors, decision fatigue. They called it AI brain fry. The conclusion is not that AI doesn't work. It is that without structure, without clear operating principles about which tools do what and where humans stay in the loop, adoption becomes noise rather than capability. The organizations getting this right have done something simple. They have made deliberate decisions which workflows are AI-led, which are human-led with AI support, which remain entirely human. And they have built internal knowledge, not through training programs or vendor demos, but through actually running agents on real work, reviewing outputs, understanding where the technology performs brilliantly and where it needs oversight, and scaling what works. That knowledge cannot be bought. It can only be built, and it takes time. Which is exactly why the time to start is always earlier than it feels comfortable. OpenAI has made that starting point significantly easier this week with the launch of Workspace Agents, currently in research preview for business, enterprise, and education plans. Available free until the 6th of May this year, which means any organization that wants to run a genuine, no-cost trial of what agent automation looks like on a real workflow has a window right now to do exactly that before any budget commitment is required. That window closes in 10 days. So here's exactly what I want from you before this episode ends, and I'm going to be specific because vague calls to action produce nothing. Identify one workflow in your business that meets 3 criteria. First, it happens on a regular schedule: weekly, monthly, daily, something your team runs repeatedly. Second, it involves pulling information from more than one place and producing a structured output: a report, a brief, a summary, an analysis. Third, it does not require human judgment at every single step. Some steps are mechanical, structured, rule-based, data in, output out. Every organization has multiple workflows that meet those 3 criteria: compliance monitoring, financial reporting, sales intelligence, supplier risk tracking, competitive briefings, customer sentiment analysis. Pick one. Now name one person who owns that workflow. One person who is curious, capable, and willing to spend 4 weeks running a trial alongside an AI agent. Give them permission, give them access, give them a brief. Come back to them in 4 weeks and ask 2 questions. What did the agent handle well, and where did you need to stay in the loop? That is the entire ask. One workflow, one person, 4 weeks, 2 questions. The answer to those 2 questions, gathered from a real workflow inside your real business, is worth more than any vendor presentation or AI strategy document your organization could commission. It is the beginning of operational knowledge. And operational knowledge is the only thing that compounds into genuine competitive advantage. GPT-5.5 is here. It matches or exceeds professional human performance on 84.9% of structured knowledge work tasks. It operates real computer environments autonomously at 78.7% accuracy. It handles complex customer service workflows at 98%. It does all of that at the same speed as its predecessor. Your competitors have access to exactly the same technology. The question is not whether they will use it. The question is whether you move first. For everything you need to lead your organization through this, the frameworks, the practical tools, the guidance built specifically for executives navigating this without a technology background, go to aifortheboardroom.com. That is aifortheboardroom.com. It is all there, free, built for you. Use it, share it with your leadership team today, hit follow on Spotify, new episodes every week, and share this one with one person in your leadership team who needs to hear it today. I'm RFD. The window is open. Your move.